Morning, ladies and gentlemen of the media, our distinguished guests. I would like to welcome you and thank you for joining us here at CRDF today for this momentous occasion. I am Kathy Campbell. I'm the President and CEO of CRDF. And before we take questions today, I would like to recognize our speakers and share a few words about our perspectives on this project, the Iraqi Virtual Science Library. So our speakers today, to my left, Dr. Abdul Hadi Al-Khalili, who is the Cultural Attaché at the Embassy of Iraq here in Washington. To his left is Dr. Alex Deegan, who is the Science and Technology Advisor to the Administrator of the U.S. Agency for International Development. To my immediate right, Dr. Eric Novotny, Senior Vice President at CRDF. To his right is Mr. Paul Ryan, Administrator of the Defense Technical Information Center. And to his right is Andy Reynolds, who is the Assistant to the Science Advisor to the Secretary of State. In 2005, a group of Science and Technology Policy Fellows from the American Association for the Advancement of Science recognized virtual libraries as a powerful solution to closing the gap between Iraqi scientists and the international science community. One of those fellows is here today, Dr. Alex Deegan. The other two are DJ Patil, who perhaps will be joining us by phone today from California, and the late Susan Cumberledge, and we owe them all a great debt of gratitude. Their idea quickly turned into partnerships with the U.S. Department of Defense, the U.S. Department of State, Sun Microsystems, the National Academies of Sciences, the Defense Technical Information Center, and CRDF. Together, a web-based portal providing Iraqi universities and research institutes with access to an outstanding collection of science, engineering, and computer science journals, as well as technical information and educational resources was developed. In the 4 short years since IVSL was implemented, its effect is measurable. Today, IVSL has more than 7,000 registrants and serves all public universities in Iraq, 90% of the Iraqi university population, as well as 9 government ministries. More than 30,000 articles are downloaded each month, more than 1 million downloads since it began to be used. Perhaps more importantly, not only are Iraqi students and researchers downloading articles, but they are contributing to the body of knowledge. Access to IVSL has contributed to a 3-fold increase in the number of publications made by Iraqi scientists, from approximately 80 publications in 2005 to 250 in 2008. Even more significantly, there is evidence that Iraqi researchers are utilizing the knowledge gained from their access to IVSL to publish their work at the highest levels. According to our research in the chemical sciences, 100% of articles published internationally by Iraqi authors in 2009 cited articles from journals that were made available to them through the IVSL. Today is the culmination of 5 years of thought, action, partnership, implementation, progress, and ultimately the success of the IVSL. On this occasion, we will transfer complete control of IVSL to the Iraqi Ministry of Higher Education and Scientific Research and the Ministry of Science and Technology. The support of the Iraqi ministries has been crucial for the success of IVSL. Here to discuss IVSL from the Iraqi perspective is Dr. Hadi.
Thank you. Good morning. On behalf of each and every faculty, student, and researcher in Iraq, at the 38 institutions and ministries who used and going to use the IVSL, I present our deep appreciation and gratitude. After decades of isolation from the advancement in the outside world of science and technology, this gift of life was presented to them in such generous, well-organized, and easy way to compensate for the years of deprivation. Our researchers and intellectuals have enjoyed a glorious past and now looking for a bright future. Historically, the first library ever was established in Iraq. Samuel Kramer, in his book History Begins at Somer, 39 firsts in recorded history, stated that he deciphered the library cataloging list of 60 literary work. At a later date, Gaston White referred in his writings to the Abbasid House of Wisdom in Baghdad, Beit al-Hikmah, 9th to the 13th centuries, as the unrivaled center for humanities, science, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, chemistry, zoology, and geography. Now with this IVSL, you gave Iraqis the inspiration and means of getting back on the right track of rehabilitation and development. IVSL is a real success story, along with other success stories in the scientific, educational, health, and beyond in bringing our two nations together. Allow me to list some of those success stories which we share with and feel proud of. The NIH donation of medical journals worth $27 million, hoping to establish the Iraqi National Medical Library. And those journals are in Iraq now, ready to be used in that line. DHHS project through SAMSA, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health, and bringing teams of mental health workers to train and research on means of improvement of mental health in Iraq in 2008 and 2010. Also bringing over 30 physicians to train at American Health Center in joint program with the Iraqi Ministry of Health. Donation of more than 500,000 books to various Iraqi universities through IRD and other donors supported by Department of State. The Library of Congress sharing with our Cultural Office and hosting the Iraqi Conference of Health on Health and Education. Nearly 5 hours video recording of the conference is permanently put on the library website. The National Academies in hosting Iraqi Academic Conference of Iraqi American Academics and Professionals. Starting the Together for Iraq project, where Iraqi American academics and professionals joined in over 40 committees in all major fields of knowledge to help their colleagues in Iraq who formed sister committees in Iraq. They helped through their individual ability and support of their institutions, organizations, and American scholar friends. The first Iraqi Health Summit conference sponsored by the Department of Defense and attended by the Minister of Health. Also, the establishment of our ambitious scholarship program of graduate students to study at American universities sponsored by the Iraqi government, together with the Fulbright and other programs, shall make the difference for Iraq's future. Of course, there are many other great success stories at all levels which are doing enormous contribution to the reforming and development of Iraq. As for the IVSL, our appreciation and thanks go to the founders, the U.S. Departments of Defense and State, and the fellowship program of the American Association of the Advancement of Science and the Sun Science, together with the National Academies, to all donors and to CRDF for being the dedicated and professional manager of the project. It's great pleasure to acknowledge each organization contributed to this project by name: the Department of State, Department of Defense, the National Academies, the American Association for Advancement of Science, American Chemical Society, American Institute of Physics, American Mathematical Society, American Physical Society, American Society of Civil Engineering, American Society of Mechanical Engineering, Association of Computing Machinery, Annual Reviews, Elsevier Publishing, IEEE Publishing, JSTOR, Project Muse, Springer Publishing, and Thomson Reuters. To the publishers and organizations, we appreciate very much your generosity, patience, and sacrifice to make the project proceed. Your extended generosity of not increasing cost for this year too is highly appreciated. We promise that gradual normalization shall start next year. As for CRDF, thank you for the support and dedication. Thank you, Ms. Campbell, President and CEO. CEO, thank you, Dr. Eric Novotny, Executive Vice President, and thanks to the CRDF team who contributed to the success of the project. A personal note of appreciation to the wonderful Sarah Polsky and Kamran Naim. I would like to acknowledge the hard work, time, and effort you put on this project, which helped leading us to where we are today. Alex Degan, thank you, and Dija Patel and late Susan for the pioneering work. I would like also to thank Lund University in Sweden for taking the hosting of the IVSL from this year on. At the end, I would like to thank our team at the Ministry of Higher Education, who worked very hard during the difficult times in Iraq to educate researchers and faculty about the project and make them believe that IVSL is a very important tool for their scientific success. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time and coming here today to share with us celebrating this joint American-Iraqi success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hadi. As you've heard, the Department of State played a pivotal role in getting this project started, and I would like to invite Mr. Andy Reynolds to say a few words.
Thank you, Kathy. It's very nice to be here, and thank you, Eric, for the opportunity to just say a few words. I think this project is emblematic of commitment by people that you see before you. It requires a long-term commitment to build organizational capacity. And the IVSL would not be here without the work of Alex Dagan and people he will associate himself with as a pioneer in bringing the project to the attention of the State Department and the Defense Department. Also, I think it goes without saying the commitment here by Dr. Hadi Al-Khalili is vital to the success and the day we witnessed today. Having this project now in the midst and in the ownership of the Iraqi government is most important. We've been looking to this day for a number of years. Let me say also that Kathy Campbell, I think, cited a statistic that 90% of the universities of Iraq are now online. And to me, in the experience that we have seen in building science, technology, engineering capacity in the long term, it really is the universities that represent what I call islands of stability. And the stability that they bring to this proposition is emblematic in now a high participation rate, the capacity that the IVSL has helped restore in a very talented scientific and engineering community, which is Iraq. And I also like the reference that the doctor made to the legacy of ancient Iraq, the Mesopotamians, and really a library beginning as a culture there, and now having an opportunity to be restored in a 21st century capacity to share with the world and to benefit from the research around the world. I can also say that we are seeing this milestone at a very propitious time when e-learning, the whole concept of e-learning and lifelong commitment to learning is flowering throughout the world. And in every meeting that I attend in international settings, and particularly United Nations settings, other country representatives come up to me and say, how can we build a virtual science library as the one which is now in Iraq? So I can tell you the legacy is enormous. It comes only, and success is only coming to you today because of the commitment of the people here before you. And I am very proud to associate myself with this project on behalf of the State Department, and now to see this transition thanks to continuous support from CRDF and others, to a stability, a resource that is second to none, and now a capacity which is totally owned by the Iraqi government on behalf of its people and its science and engineering community. My congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you. Now to one of the pioneers of the program, Dr. Alex Degan.
The idea for, and we talked about me sort of being Iraq has been through 3 wars, including the Iran-Iraq War. We saw the militarization of the science sector, the sanctions, the lost generation that has come up in Iraq between the 2 wars, the post-war looting that happened and the effects. But we can't forget, as Dr. Hadi pointed out, the rich history that Iraq had in science. The fact that the preservation of great texts of the West, while Europe went into the Dark Ages, was what helped bring Europe out of that region, out of that period of a lack of innovation. It was the first thing we actually did was we presented this to Andy Reynolds. We said, we had this idea, and it's this platform to connect a whole course of different types of resources with people who need those resources in Iraq. And the team at the time was even a little bit bigger. It was at ASCO, at the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, Susan Cumberledge, Ben Perman, and DJ Patel. At DTIC, it was Bill McCluskey and Kwabena Yandom. At the Defense Technical Information Center, it was Carolyn Thompson and Chris Thomas. At STAS, it was Andy Reynolds, the Deputy Science Advisor, as well as Ranjiv Kush. And in NEA, myself. And in OES, we had Barry Rippins. So there was actually, it started off rather small. It was a core group of people, but it rapidly enlarged to this group that met every week, sometimes 2-3 times a week, to figure out how we could do it. And this was sort of the first page of the original presentation that we had come up with this idea that we would see these clusters, and maybe these are the wrong concepts now, but at the time, just populating Iraqi universities with people all having access to it. And so these are some of the historical slides. And we came up with a memo that went up to Colin Powell, and this was probably one of the most, it was an information memo, so we couldn't make a decision. But the key behind this memo was the fact that the Secretary of State wrote good CP. We made 1,000 copies of this memo, and we gave it to anyone that gave us any trouble. And I've been told I have 2 minutes, so I'm just going to go quickly. We kept being told it won't work. It's not going to work because of electricity. It's not going to work because no one will use it. Who really wants scientific knowledge? It's not going to work because there aren't access to the internet. There aren't access to computers. And the one thing I think that we have found out is that it did work. And that the statistics, it did work because of the work of a lot of people. This core group, Susan may be a part really as the spirit to make sure this thing worked, but the core group, the people who are represented here, who sit here before us as well, particularly, you know, Sarah, Kamran have played such an important part. CRDF, in accepting to host this project, played such an important part. But what is clear is it is one element of how we should relate together as countries. And because we have shared challenges that we face together, climate change, important issues in global health. These are issues that affect us domestically as well as internationally, that affect all our countries. And the basic idea is that the United States isn't just bordered by Canada and Mexico, but we're bordered by Iraq as well. And it is very important that, given our history, that just as we shouldn't forget Susan's role in making this thing happen, we shouldn't forget about Iraq as well. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alex. We have a couple additional remarks from Paul Ryan, and then followed by Eric Novotny, and right after that, we'll quickly get to the questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Very happy to be here today representing the men and women of the Defense Technical Information Center as the Iraqi Virtual Science Library is transferred from ownership to the ministries in Iraq. I'm proud that DTIC has been a part of this project since its inception. DTIC's role was to design, build, test, and then host the site for the past 4 years. From our perspective, this has been a successful public-private partnership. Several U.S. government agencies, as you've heard, 13 publishers of scientific journals, some corporate technology companies, as well as our host here today, the Civilian Research and Development Foundation. Again, the purpose, as you've heard, to provide Iraqi scientists and engineers with access to research information from the world's leading scientific, engineering, and technical publishing houses and societies. From the perspective of this endeavor, it was access to that information in those technical areas, such as civil engineering, agriculture, medicine, water management, that helped build and rebuild the infrastructure within Iraq. Very happy to be here with this endeavor, and as it transitions from the Defense Technical Information Center, the hosting, to the Iraqi government. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you. You've heard from all of the previous speakers about the past and present of the Iraqi Virtual Science Library, and I guess at this point we would ask the question that Steve Jobs might ask, and that's what's next? Well, what's next in Iraq, we hope, will be a continued expansion of not only the scientific disciplines, but also the user community, and that includes various ministries as well as other universities in the Iraqi system as they begin to add capabilities. CRDF will continue to work with the government of Iraq to the extent we're invited to do so, to help them expand this library into other areas, to add databases and other capabilities to give them a true research portal for both basic and applied research. The model that has been created is also applicable to other countries. And CRDF has received a number of inquiries from several countries about how this same model can be applied to their situation. And we're happy to be responding to that, and so there will be a derivative legacy, if you will, as other countries begin to recognize the benefits of having virtually the entire corpus of science available to their research and teaching communities. So with that, I know that we want to get on to questions, and I'll turn the program back over to Kathy Campbell.
Thanks, Eric. And before we take the questions, we want to do the ceremonial handoff of the library to Dr. Hadi. So with this document, we will officially transfer control of the IVSL to the Iraqi government.
Thank you very much. To take care of this and then make it even proceeding more and more, and to be helpful to all researchers or academic community in Iraq.
Wonderful.
And we are hoping also to get the Arab literature also included in this, so it will be widespread science, humanities, and all sorts of knowledge.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.